In a post-apocalyptic society, people are valued according to a number that is imprinted on their bodies. They are sucked into a pitch-black abyss if it ever reaches 0. After giving Hina a glass orb with 10,000 inside it and instructing her to locate the legendary ace with the white star, Hina watches as her mother is dragged into the depths. Hina looks for 5 years before she finally encounters Licht, a perverted moron in a mask, and Nana, his boss, who reveals that everyone is required to obey commands from anyone with a higher number. Hina reveals that her number, 441, represents the 44,100 kilometers she has traveled. She runs upon a sergeant major who claims to be the ace and has a star on his face, until she shows him the 10,000 orb, which he recognizes as a ballot and tries to take from her. He makes advances toward her. As Hina has a larger number, she commands him to stop. However, he leads her into a star stake, a wagering match using their respective numbers, and after severely beating her, he steals 440 from her, leaving her with just 1. He admits that he is not the ace because the ace has been dead for 300 years, according to the mythology of the ace. Suddenly showing up, Licht bets his own number, which is minus 999. Unless Licht is a ballot holder with a numbered ballot to artificially bring his number back above 0, the sergeant realizes as they engage in combat that such a number is impossibly high. With a white star and 5,700 foes defeated written on his sword, Licht reveals himself to be Licht back, the actual legendary ace. He makes a vow to make the sergeant return Hina's 440. A great war known as the Waste War raged throughout the globe centuries ago. When the conflict was over, a group of fighters known as aces who had performed superhuman strength feats disappeared. Licht's incredible speed allows him to overcome the soldiers with ease, demonstrating that his footsteps have the strength to shatter the ground. Nana reveals that while Licht's 5,700 represents the number of his foes he has crushed, his negative 999 represents the number of ladies who have turned him down. Licht's quickness has earned him the nickname Ace of Flashing Strikes. The sergeant is quickly defeated by Licht, who gives Hina not just her stolen 440, but also the remains of his number, boosting Hina's total to 760. Hina's 10,000 ballot is abruptly taken by Licht, who gives her a plush doll in exchange. Hina is heartbroken over losing her mother's souvenir. Later, Nana discloses that since ballots are illegal, the troops will only look for Licht and leave Hina alone because he hid the ballot in the doll and just pretended to steal it in front of witnesses. Hina cries out in an attempt to stop Licht from leaving, but when he ignores her, she yells that she despises him, turning his score from negative 999 to 1,000. One of the soldiers unexpectedly approaches Hina and discloses that he is a spy. She receives his gratitude, and he informs his true masters that Licht has been discovered. The army ignores Hina and goes in search of Licht because they think he may have the ballot. Sergeant Pel Poporo, subordinate of Master Sergeant Lion May, are stationed in a tranquil village where Lion volunteers because her count increases the more desperate individuals she saves. Lion stops a nearby masked man who, ironically enough, seems to be Licht. However, he manages to keep his disguise on by disclosing his negative 1,000 and lamenting the women who turned him down. Following Pella's awful advice, Lion arranges a pity date to try and cheer Licht up. However, Licht's usual groping behavior actually raises Lion's count because it cheers up the hopelessly twisted Licht. Lion instantly realizes, thanks to Pell, that Licht must be a ballot holder because of his negative 1,000, so she takes off his mask to disclose his identity. After robbing Lion of her sword, Licht discovers that she is also a martial artist. She is highly irritated by Licht's flirtation during their little argument because it causes her to become so agitated. He escapes when she shuts her eyes expecting a kiss. Lion pursues Licht through the village, where a series of misunderstandings cause the locals to believe she and Licht are having a lover's argument. When she protests that her uniform always shows her underwear, Licht flees once more. Hina believes she must inform Licht about Lieutenant Murdoch, but is unable to do so because Nana's wagon, which was destroyed by a lieutenant named Jail Murdoch who was hunting Licht down, must first be rebuilt. Suddenly, Licht protects Lion from harm as Murdoch and his guards attack him. Murdoch's number is revealed to be 900, and he also has a ballot that gives him the ability to forge iron, earning him the title Iron Jail. Licht is surprisingly overwhelmed, and Murdoch says he hides his true number from his supervisors to prevent getting promoted and having to work in an office instead of going after criminals. His real number is 12,500, which is twice more than Licht's. Licht's sword is successfully taken by Murdoch, but he returns it. He reveals that his number stands for his convictions and that they strengthen and preserve his iron weapons, which have never been cut. He traps Licht, forcing him to give up. Due to Licht's fighting technique, Murdoch claims that he was once a soldier. When Licht declines to respond, Murdoch decides to torture him. However, Lion intervenes and suffers damage. Murdoch humiliates Line for not punishing criminals. Line is about to apologize when Licht escapes from Murdoch's bonds, demonstrating that he was always able to crack his iron. Murdoch and Licht use their full abilities, and Licht demands that he apologize for thinking Line is lazy. As a result of their dispute, a cliff falls, sending Line down. A remorseful Murdoch tries to catch her, but Licht catches her first. His count drops to 1001 when he tries to insult her and infuriate her. Murdoch decides to give Licht a 3-day head start before continuing his search. Realizing that Licht was correct, Murdoch constructs a play area for the village's kids using his iron. His 12,500 drops to 12,499 as he unwillingly mends a child's damaged doll after abandoning his conviction to apprehend Licht. When Hina and Nana find Licht, he discovers that following his battle with Iron Jail Murdoch, all the roads have been closed. Hina criticizes Licht for leaving her behind and acts jealous that he was fighting for another lady. In order to prevent a young woman named Pelmo from dying in an experimental plane, Licht is obliged to interfere. Despite the fact that investigating flight is a crime that is punishable with death penalty, Pelmo approaches Licht and Hina for assistance in realizing her dream of flying. Despite Hina praising Licht, who alters Pelmo's most recent aeroplane, he is concerned that he has merely endangered her. When the soldiers show up, Licht is forced to bring down the plane. After being persuaded that the wings were actually broken windmill sails, the soldiers depart. Pelmo suddenly confesses that her number was based on her dreams coming true, but that it decreased each time her planes failed to take off, and that it has now reached 0. In spite of Hina's efforts to save her, the Abyss fights back. When the Abyss strikes Licht's sword during his attempt to save Hina, a horrific flashback occurs. Pelmo enters the Abyss with joy, certain that it is not death but rather the entrance to another planet, and makes a commitment to return one day. The numbers flash in Licht's left eye, almost knocking him out. Hina asks Licht to stay in a dream, and Licht decides not to leave. After catching up to Licht, Line expresses her gratitude for saving her and then tries to take him into custody. Line and Hina will compete in a cooking competition, with Licht as the prize, which Nana sets up to attract clients. Hina traps wild animals, demonstrating her intimidatingly impressive expertise at slaughtering deadly animals as Line buys vegetables. Line prepares a vegetable stew, and Hina makes a meat stew that exudes a deadly aura. Although Hina's meat stew is unquestionably greater, Licht appreciates both, but he is forced to make a decision when the audience presses him to do so. When Murdoch shows up and criticizes Line for getting distracted once more, Licht is spared from having to disappoint one of them. After a brief argument, Nana intervenes and criticizes both of them for acting like children and ruining the town plaza. Surprisingly, even Murdoch is intimidated by her assertive nature and follows her orders, even taking part in the celebrations. The following morning, Nana, Licht, and Hina are gone, and Murdoch, Line, and Peli are awake and groggy. As they pursue them, they come upon a wounded soldier from a fully wrecked village. No survivors are found by Murdoch. The town's neighboring lake has vanished beneath a large abyss. A wounded soldier makes an appearance and claims that a fire-breathing demon flew out of the abyss. Murdoch is convinced that it has to be a ballot holder with firepower. Murdoch approaches Lich because he thinks he knows something. They conduct a drinking competition instead of fighting after Nana furiously forbids it. Intoxicated, Murdoch falsely claims that Licht is the legendary ace and demands to know why the army is seeking for him. A portion of the town is destroyed when the lake abyss suddenly surfaces and starts making an odd noise. Murdoch issues an order to evacuate the populace. While Licht recognizes the sound, he asserts that the sound cannot exist because the Waste War destroyed all such monsters. He and Murdoch watch as the abyss opens and a modern helicopter equipped with machine guns and missiles is revealed to be the demon. Licht orders everyone to take cover as the chopper attacks, but Murdoch objects to Licht exercising authority. Licht reveals his military position and attracts the helicopter's notice. Licht attacks the helicopter to everyone's cheers, but the abyss stops him. The military refers to the abyss arms as Althing, while Licht attacks Althing. Althing tries to grab the chopper but is continually stunned by it. Hina begs Murdoch for assistance, but he declines because harming Althing is illegal and he won't stand by and let someone break the law. Murdoch, however, accidentally misplaces his glasses and becomes unable to see any laws being broken. That's why he attacks Althing, together with all the soldiers who also coincidentally lost their vision. Licht is shocked when he climbs the ladder the soldiers built to get inside the helicopter and sees what's going on in the cockpit. The now murderous ace of pursuit Sanohara Mizuka, wearing the number 32,000, shoots down the chopper. After shooting Murdoch, she starts killing everyone, demonstrating that she is fixated on carrying out the last order Licht gave her during the Waste War, which was to kill everyone. Sanohara reveals that Licht's real name is Ryudo, and she threatens to murder a nearby child unless he kills her or reverts to his previous violent behavior. When Licht snaps, she kills her men so quickly that their bodies just vanish. After much fighting, Licht reveals his identity to Hina and Murdoch. He goes by the name of the Plunderer and harbors the desire to possess the entire nation. Sanohara and Licht get into a star state during which Licht takes many shots to the chest. Licht starts moving so quickly that Sanohara is unable to see him when a red power rapidly explodes from him, raising the number on his blade to 57,000. The evil alter ego Shmomen has gained control of Licht. As a result of Sanohara's defeat by Shmomen and subsequent drop in her number to 16,000, Nana begins to wonder if Sanohara was also possessed by a dark personality. Sanohara was the kindest ace and the only one who never killed anyone, but someone must have poisoned her to battle Licht in the hopes that Shmomen would emerge. Hina almost got killed by Shmomen where she tried to hug Licht but was saved by Sanohara. Murdoch, despite having a bullet in his chest, challenges Shmomen and stops him. Shmomen sobs in the middle of the fight and says he kills people so his friends don't have to. In an effort to uphold this, Murdoch uses all of his strength to battle Shmomen and constructs an Iron Warrior, knocking him out and reverting him to Licht. After getting hurt, Murdoch faints. Supreme Commander Alexandrov Gregorovich, Murdoch's naive yet adoring adoptive father, summons him. Murdoch is interested in learning more about the black-clad troops of Sanohara. Gregorovich discloses that they are the Special Services Unit, or SSU, which acts as spies, kidnappers, and assassins for the royal family. Regarding Licht, Gregorovich says that Licht was the strongest person in the strongest squad of the Aces, which were surgically changed humans used as weapons in the Waste Wars. Licht's continued existence is explained by the Aces' ability to cease aging as a result of the surgery's adverse effect. Gregorovich demands to know whether he knows Licht's whereabouts after abruptly revealing that he is aware that Murdoch's number has fallen to 12,499. Murdoch lies, and when the number decreases to 12,498, Gregorovich admits he is also aware that Althen was attacked. As Licht chooses to surrender, Murdoch returns to ultimately take him into custody. Licht questions Murdoch numerous times to ascertain whether he is being blackmailed, but Murdoch continuously lies, changing his number to 12,496. With an unexplainable power, Nana reveals that she is an ace herself and sends Murdoch, Hina, Pell, and Line to modern Japan, pleading with them to succeed where she failed in changing the past. Sanohara and Licht, who were then known as Ryudo, are depicted in Japan as high school-aged students. When they run into a delinquent inside the school after pursuing Ryudo, Murdoch realizes his ballot is missing and he is no longer in control of Iron. The school is actually a military academy, say Captain Allen and Lieutenant Ferenda, and Japan is the only country remaining after a world war. After reading his own adaptation of The Tortoise and the Hare, the headmaster, Major Shmomen, orders Allen to shoot 3 recruits who laughed. Ryudo holds Shmomen captive so that Shmomen may teach him how to snap his neck, but Ryudo declines and offers to die in Hina's place instead, oblivious to Shmomen's powerful killing aura. Ferenda diffuses the tension by stating that the recruits are still alive because Allen had used paint bullets to emphasize the importance of following orders. Shmomen is intrigued by Ryudo's potential. Pell attempts to look up Althing on a computer, but is unsuccessful. Instead, Allen reveals that Althing was a highly developed technology with an unidentified origin that arrived on Earth in the midst of the war. Humanity elected to eliminate nuclear weapons and all violence since it had the authority to compel all people to submit to its will. However, this decision has unanticipated effects that Allen is unwilling to discuss. Murdoch starts to think Nana wants them to find the real meaning of Althing and save their future society, not just help Licht. Shmomen makes the decision to personally instruct everyone. They are being watched by Allen, who overhears them discussing the Abyss, elections, and the nation of Altia. Students receive 2 stars from Shmomen, who explains that those who earn 10 immediately enlist in the military, while those who lose them are banished. Stars can be obtained by completing chores or robbing classmates. This is where star stakes originated, as Murdoch and Hina realize. Ryo, who is given no stars, is warned to steal a star or face expulsion. However, Licht is unbothered as the only reason he is there is to persuade Sakai Tokikes, his adoptive brother, to go back to his family. Dome, the delinquent, breaks into people's lockers and steals their stars, including Sakai's. Everyone shares their stars to avoid being kicked out, but Sakai is left with none. Sakai refuses to go back home because soldiers' families receive more food and because their grandma is already suffering from malnutrition. After giving Sakai his last star, Murdoch meets Doan outside the academy gate and threatens to cripple him before his military career even begins. When Shmomen interferes, it becomes clear that Ryudo pickpocketed Doan's stolen stars, leaving him with only 2 and preventing him from graduating just yet. Murdoch receives 2 stars from Shōnen for his commitment to his classmates. Ryudo decides to keep 2 stars and stay to persuade Sakai to go back home since they can send their own food as long as they are at the academy. The academy assigns the group to track down the person spying on the bathrooms. When the girls try to catch Ryudo snooping, Murdoch is forced to watch Line naked. Ryudo quits up spying once the females decide to become killers, abandoning embarrassment like well-trained warriors. Shōnen advises growing so strong that you intimidate opponents into giving up so that you can become soldiers that do not kill. Murdoch follows Shōnen to a secret facility where he discovers that they are seeking to duplicate Althing's voting authority since Althing only ended the use of nuclear weapons, not war, and other nations are already gearing up for a new conflict. The girl with time-traveling abilities, later revealed to be young Nana, the first ace known as Ace of Knowing, saves Murdoch from being captured. She reveals that while ordinary people like Murdoch can only harmonize by using ballots, some individuals like Shōnen can genetically harmonize with Althing to achieve powers. Only Nana survived the Ace surgery, which includes implanting Shōmen's DNA into healthy youngsters to give them his genetic ability. Later, Ryudo, Sanohara, and 4 other children would also survive, making a total of 7 aces. Having no further information to provide, Nana delivers Murdoch a modern memory card from future Nana that details why she sent them there. Murdoch says he'll visit Nana in 300 years, but Captain Allen catches him as he flees. A young Alexandrov Grigorovich, Murdoch's future foster father, is revealed to be Alan. Alan permits Murdoch to live after realizing Nana is attempting to alter the future. He leads Murdoch and the others into a shared living area where he shows them that it is not possible to feed everyone and orders them to stop delaying the troops. They are unable to decide what to do now that they are aware of how Ryudo will turn into Lich, because without Lich's victory in the Waste War, neither they nor their own nation of Alshia will ever exist. Murdoch insists that Alan teach him hand-to-hand combat after determining that he must one day overthrow Alan and succeed him as Supreme Commander. Shōnen begins arming everyone with medieval weapons while claiming that since guns will soon become outdated, soldiers who have been trained in melee combat will be the most powerful. Shōnen exposes the true purpose of the impending war, to eliminate the excess human population and ensure the survival of the species. David, one of Shōmen's subordinates, is killed while on a mission, but is still able to communicate with Shōnen. Shōnen ultimately starts human testing, with Ryudo being the best genetic candidate out of fear for the safety of the ACE project. Ryudo agrees to do the surgery after explaining the situation to him. Murdoch chooses to prevent any interference with Ryudo's procedure because he does not want to take the risk that Alshia will never exist. Doan steals the last star Sanohara had, arguing that since she couldn't fight, having her kicked out would help save her. Although he criticizes Sanohara for relying on Ryudo rather than becoming more independent, Murdoch nonetheless awards her one of his stars. To ensure that Ryudo never acquires his Shōnen personality and that Alshia will still be built after the war, Hina agrees to let him to become Lich, but forbids him from killing. Due to the Althing's ban on war, a foreign nation attacks the academy just as Pelle is about to confess his love for Lion. Doan saves Sanohara as soldiers start killing the students, while Murdoch saves the most of their fellow students. 4 of the 7 ballots required for an Althing vote are in foreign countries, thus they must have secretly voted to authorize war once more. The enemy turns off the electricity, putting Ryudo at risk of dying from the unfinished operation. All of the students struggle to get to the emergency generator, many of whom are hurt or killed, and Alan suffers the facial scar that will become his signature after protecting them from a rocket. As Ryudo starts to deteriorate, his hair turns white. A soldier captures Hina, who then cries out for Licht. Murdoch turns on the electricity again, saving Ryudo's life. Ryudo receives Shōmen's signature sword, which he explains is a counterfeit ballot that needs to be activated with an oath of his choice that is measured by a number. Ryudo begins eliminating soldiers with lightning-fast attacks, gaining the nickname Ace of Flashing Strikes. The leader of the soldiers discloses that they have a nuclear weapon, and that the switch is concealed in one of their bodies, thus Ryudo has no choice but to kill. Ryudo beheads them because he has no other option. The commander, who's ready to pass away, confesses that he was lying about the explosives and thanks Ryudo for saving his buddies. When they are brought back to their own time, Hina, Murdoch, Lion, and Pelle start to glow, and Ryudo breaks down over breaching his word not to kill. Ryudo makes the decision that the only way to prevent his buddies from killing is for him to carry out all the killing himself, and makes an oath that his vote will count any foes he kills on their behalf. Ryudo is forced to fondle Hina's breasts as a memory to hold onto throughout the war after Hina realizes she was powerless to stop him from becoming licked. Hina then decides the only thing left to do is to completely love him and vows to wait for him in 300 years to marry him and bear his children, so he will never be alone again. The Waste War starts and Ryudo is now known as Licht. He starts killing a great number of the enemy while concealing his face with a mask. The ACE procedure is performed on Sakai, Don, Sanohara, and Captain Allen, 4 of his students. Shōnen decides that the world cannot be saved and starts to develop Alshia, a utopia. After a while, Rihito loses his mind and cuts off Sanohara's left arm. 2 years later, the war is finally over when Shōnen, who has now located all 7 ballots, creates Alshia and uses the ballots to float above the destroyed planet. The planet's surface was completely destroyed, and he used the DNA of all races to create Alshia's population. He maintained the population under control by sending anyone with a 0 vote count to the Abyss, which was later found to be a gateway to the planet's surface. It is also revealed that Althing feeds Alshia by persistently stripping the survivors on the surface of their supplies. Ryudo killed Sakai on Shōmen's orders after learning that he had stolen a ballot, but killing his brother had put him into a coma. When he eventually came to, he discovered that every student in his class had died by suicide while still living on the surface. After escaping Shōmen that day with Nana, Licht wore a mask for the next 300 years and hardly spoke to anyone, not even Nana. That is, until he met Hina. When Hina is brought back, Nana tells her that she was concerned that Licht had made the risky decision to destroy Alshia in order to rescue the Earth. Although she had always known they couldn't go back and fix the past, she believes they have now discovered how to rescue the future. Licht is approached by Hina, who offers him her breasts and instructs him to carry on their conversation from 300 years ago. When Licht declines her because she is still an adolescent and he is over 300 years old, Hana becomes dejected. Instead, Hina gets drunk and attempts to force Licht into making sexual advances. In secret, Nana gets unhappy since she loves Licht as well, yet Hina is the one who made him happy. When Murdoch notices this, he punches Licht for being a fool before showing him the memory card future Nana gave young Nana. The documentary includes footage of young Nana recording her decision to marry Licht. Their 300 years of marriage following the war, during which Licht never took off his mask or even spoke, and her developing belief that Licht despises her. Licht apologizes and breaks down in tears, admitting that he was embarrassed to take off his mask because he had forgotten how to smile and didn't want Nana to see his fake smile. Everyone is happier the next day as they go to a neighboring beach. After realizing she is the most overweight among the ladies, Line experiences depression. Hina, who is enraged, catches Licht in a trap for animals and demands to know why he continues abandoning her. Licht confesses that he knew Tsukina Pharaoh, Hina's mother. Licht discloses that Tsukina was a childhood friend of his who, for some reason, managed to live 300 years without undergoing the ACE surgery and who, 5 years ago, stole the 10,000 ballot from Shōnen, leaving him with just 3 ballots. Licht discloses that Tokitake Sakai, his slain adopted brother, was the father of Hina. Hina, Nana, Line, and Pella pass out after drinking wine that Licht poisoned, explaining that he was leaving to battle the army. Murdoch, however, resists the drug. The SSU starts killing army generals and demands Grigorovich to turn up the remaining 3 ballots that the army is holding. According to Grigorovich, the decision to create Alshia must be re-voted on a regular basis, but because Tsukina stole the vote, Alshia is in jeopardy of collapsing. Since Grigorovich and his ace allies are unable to decide, Grigorovich decides to let Alshia's king make the decision. Murdoch criticizes Licht for the suffering his friends have to endure, but Licht argues that it is still preferable if he is the only one to murder so that others won't have to. Everyone recovers from the drug the following morning, and they start to pursue Licht. Don, another ace sent by Shōnen to intercept Licht, has the ability to defy gravity, pinning Licht to the ground and negating his speed. All Licht can think about, as he is going to be crushed, is seeing Hina one more. Hina and the others discover Licht unconscious before the SAU captures him. With the knowledge that Grigorovich is Captain Allen, Murdoch confronts him and demands a star stake. However, first he wants to know why Grigorovich deceived the entire universe. Murdoch's iron is melted by Grigorovich, who then reveals that he is the ace of explosive strikes. He explains that his daughter and son were killed so they could eat. Grigorovich captured the murderer but was unable to execute him since he simply wants the food for his own child. Instead of taking responsibility for their dysfunctional society, Grigorovich seized the chance to improve things when it presented itself. Murdoch is down to number 1 after being vanquished. Murdoch pushes him once more, saying that rather than requesting a time travel miracle from Nana to save his own children, Grigorovich decided to raise him as his own son. Grigorovich rejects Murdoch's request and discharges him from the military so that he can rejoin his friends. Shōnen locks up Hina, Line, and Pell, and Hana wants to know why he betrayed his students. In order to sift out the weak and locate persons like Rito for the ACE procedure, Shōnen explains he supported the non-killing army. Don is instructed to conduct the ACE procedure on them before he departs. But Doan kills his own troops to rescue them since he won't let anyone become an ace who didn't endure the waste war. Hina unintentionally drops the 10,000 ballot as they are leaving. Doan decides to murder them because he is enraged that they might be planning to ruin Alcia after he and the aces struggled to construct it in the first place. When Lion tries to flee on horseback, Doan shoots her in the stomach. Doan is rebuked by Hina, who asserts that Lick will save them. Doan makes the decision to stake their life on her conviction. They will be allowed to live if Lick shows up by dawn, but if Lick does not, he will kill them all. Lion discovers Lick and attempts CPR, but she faints from blood loss. She is rescued by her village friends, who urge her to express her emotions to Lick. She urges an unconscious Lick to save Hina after finally telling him how she feels, knowing that he has no feelings for her. Lick finally awakens. Hina asserts that Doan must secretly want Lick to succeed because otherwise, after crushing Lick, Doan would have verified his death. Lick finally admits to Hina that he has always loved her and his guilt for killing her father forced him to keep it a secret. Though Lick insists on waiting at the right moment, Hina gives him a kiss and makes a pledge to stay with him and have his children. Doan is confronted by Lick, who apologizes for breaching the agreement they made 300 years prior by attempting to destroy the Alcia they worked to establish. Sanohara reappears out of nowhere, affected once more by her evil personality, and shoots Lick. Shmoman ponders whether Lick will be able to defeat two of his old pals as he observes. Sanohara blames Lick for ignoring her despite her best efforts to catch up with him, while Doan accuses Lick of driving Sanohara insane and being responsible for the deaths of their classmates because of his vision of a non-killing army. Lick almost used his Shmoman personality to save them, but Murdoch intervened just in time. While having his count fall to 1, Murdoch has limited the quantity of iron he can produce. Sanohara is psychologically unable to strike her targets since Murdoch stops all of her bullets and casts doubt on her belief in her own ability. Sanohara sobs and declares she no longer wants to shoot him. Lick contends that the original concept of Alcia was wrong, and he intends to retry with his new non-killing army. He and Doan get into a bloody fistfight, beating each other up while he reveals that Lick has never been able to kill kids, not even on the battlefield. As a result, the enemy sent kidnappers after him, forcing Doan to kill a lot of kids to keep Lick alive. Doan won't allow Lick to start a new war, and Lick won't let Alcia keep robbing the helpless. Doan decides that one of them must perish, so he constructs a black hole that even light cannot escape from in order to cancel out Lick's light speed movements. As a result, Lick gets pulled into the black hole and disappears. When Lick awakens in the gravity well, many Ace's masks criticize him for his activities and tell him to give up and pass away. Lick resolves to commit suicide after realizing it was wrong to kill so his peers wouldn't have to. When Hina yells for Lick to return, he remembers his promise. He demolishes the masks and splits the gravity well, which gives him the opportunity to flee and knock a doubting Doan unconscious. Doan gets better, gives Hina's ballot back, and then departs. When Line awakens, she accepts that Lick had rejected her. Murdoch reminds Nana that when he got back from the future, he promised to play with her. Pell approaches Lick in private and demands to know how Lick was aware that Pell could save Line's life through surgery. Lick says that he has known for a long time that Pell is an undercover SSU agent, but owing to his affections for Line, believed he wasn't a threat. When Line's villager friends ask Pell to profess his feelings for her, he instead goes back to arguing with her about food. When Hina strips Lick, who is embarrassed and resentful, she reveals that her mother had a sense of humor about sex education. Lick is relieved when Murdoch interrupts her seduction to talk about their next course of action. Lick chooses to compile all 7 votes in order to help humanity survive in the absence of Althing, not to eradicate Alcia. Several unidentified sources imply that Lick's classmates are still alive as Shmoman begins making plans to take over the capital city.